So you're starting your path of Gnosis and you're starting to pick up on the Gnostic Gospels and the Gnostic traditions. However, you're getting a lot of side-eye and snarky remarks and accusations of being demon-possessed or something along those lines. Well, what if I told you that this is actually a sign that you are on the right path? In previous videos, I've gone over Gnostic interpretations of parts of Genesis, basically. However, in this video, let's explore some Gnostic interpretation from the New Testament and where the Gnostics got their inspiration from in the first place. We're going to reference directly from Mark chapter 3. This is right after Jesus is healing on the Sabbath and he's causing an uproar, but there's also a huge crowd where he is healing everybody, and then right after that, he appoints the 12 apostles, basically his inner circle. Then it jumps right into his own family, his mother and his brothers, literally calling him crazy, saying that he's out of his mind. Then he literally gets accused of being possessed by Beelzebub. Then he gives the parable of a house being divided can't stand, how Satan can't divide Satan from Satan's self, basically. Which is really interesting because his own family is accusing him falsely of being out of his mind, as well as the teachers who said that he was possessed by a demon. He's blatantly calling them out on their ignorance, which is the symbolism of the demiurge. And the irony of the situation is that they're falsely accusing, making them a Hasatan, or a Satan. More so with the teachers of the law, but with his family, it's more like they just don't quite understand yet. Then they double down and say that he has an impure spirit, talking about the teachers of the law. Which again is completely ironic considering that wisdom is attributed to the law. However, by this time, whenever he is confronted by the teachers of the law and then he gives the parable of the divided kingdom, then that's when his mother and brothers show up. And while he's teaching inside of this building, there's a lot of symbolism here, so pay close attention. Jesus gets interrupted and they say, "Hey, Jesus, your mother and your brothers, they're outside, they're looking for you." And ironically, on verse 33, Jesus says, "Who are my mother and my brothers?" Then he looked at those seated in a circle around him and said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. Whoever does the will of God is my brother and sister and mother." So let's unpack the symbolism here. It's quite literally his own family members who don't understand him that are outside of his inner circle and not on the inner circle learning the lessons. This is clearly an expansion or an echo from Luke 7:35, wherever he says that wisdom is justified by all of her children. Because right before that, he was saying how John himself was even falsely accused of being possessed by a demon, and he was falsely accused of being a glutton and a drunkard. This is all the equivalent of, like, say, a musician who has a dream to make it in the music industry, and then his family just doesn't understand it. They say that he's completely out of his mind, and then all the locals basically say that his music is just not that good. But then he posts a song on the internet and it just goes completely viral, and next thing you know, he's completely successful in this dream because he pursued it. And it's wild that complete strangers will understand the message and resonate with it. However, some of the closest people to you, including your own mother, your own family, and your hometown, won't understand it at first. Basically, the path of Gnosis is like, you're like Bobby Boucher, and mom doesn't understand the whole foosball thing, but then she finally does understand, and follows you all the way to the bourbon bowl. The point is, don't stress yourself out if you start to catch a lot of backlash and a lot of false accusations and everything else when you go down this path, because it just proves that wisdom is justified by all the writings about wisdom. Those people are led by the God of this world, and you should be extremely happy that you have outsmarted the God of this world. So mote it be.